I want to introduce to you Pastor J.T. Patton. He started a church here on the north end of town that meets actually in this school building. And he and his congregation have been on a journey trying to figure out ways to really become part of the neighborhood, really to engage the neighborhood, not as outsiders, but insiders. And so I wanted him to share from a pastor's perspective that has been involved in this school, but really in this last year, it has gone to a whole nother level. And so, would you welcome with me Pastor J.T. Patton?
Thanks, Russ. Guys, honestly, it's an honor to talk to you guys today. One, because some of my mentors are in this room, and so as I talk about what we're doing in Williams Elementary School, which this just worked out by chance, like the plan was not to line this up, it just worked out that we're at Williams, which is cool, because you're sitting, this is where I stand every week, and I preach from right here. I don't normally have a pulpit, so this is weird, but otherwise we're good. We don't have all this figured out, so I'm not coming from a place where like, hey, we're nailing it, because I don't think we're nailing it, but we're trying to move forward, and what I always tell our people is just, let's be willing to fail, but fail forward, right? Let's try things, and if they work, let's keep doing them. And if they're not working, can we just be honest and say, hey, this is not as effective as we want it to be, and then continue to move forward. And so I'm just going to share some of the things that we've learned. And what makes my job easy today is what Dr. Jungman said, and what everyone else said is it all comes back to relationship, right? I had this big intro about trying to convince you how important relationship is. Right? But I don't really have to do it now. And if you don't know a Freshwater story, he gave a little bit. I'm not going to bore you with our story, but we started this church in this school on purpose for this neighborhood. You're in Tom Watkins' neighborhood. When you talk about the city, this is, between this and Grant Beach probably, is debatably one of the most difficult places in our city. And we started here to show the love of Jesus Christ, and we didn't know what we were doing. But here's what we knew. We knew, as you guys know, the schools are the heartbeat of a lot of these communities, right? It's the neutral ground, as someone said, right? It's the neutral ground where everyone can come and everyone can be welcome, and you can connect with people that you'd never get a chance to connect with. We do tons of stuff out in the community all the time, but most of what we do is fed through right here. And it's why we meet here. It's why we've outgrown this space, but we're staying here. Like, we're holding on to it relentlessly because this community doesn't need a new pretty building, right? It needs someone to invest in it over the long term. Because here's the truth. What we've seen in Williams Elementary School is the needs are endless. They're endless. And honestly, it's not the monetary needs. Like, they need resources. We need shoes and we need supplies, and all those things are great. But it's the relational aspect that we've just seen is absolutely endless. It seems like everything that we're doing just ends up being in this drop in the bucket of what is really needed. And so I want to be honest and just say what we're talking about today is hard, because it's not a quick fix. Because what we did at the beginning, trying to love Williams well, is we would see a need in the school, and we would try to fill it, and then we'd come in and be like, Miss Webb, and Miss Webb, I'm sorry, I think she's the greatest principal on the planet, right? I apologize. Well, yeah, that's right. We love Miss Webb, and she's awesome, and she wanted the school partnership, and we would come in and say, hey, what if we did this or this or this? And you know what she would say? She would say yes, because the school needed it. But what we figured out over the long term is when we came in as church people and tried to do nice things for the church, tried to do good things for the church, what we really were doing is it helped maybe a little. What we were really doing is burdening the staff. Like, as she talked about, they're so busy. They don't have the margin to do our stuff. They barely have the margin to do their stuff. And so we'd come in with these awesome intentions and feeling really good, and we'd have these resources and think we were awesome and didn't really see anything come out of it. You know, can I be honest? There's some teachers in this school that loved us, and there's some teachers in this school that we found out later resented us because we were doing our thing with the best intentions in the world. Because this is hard. And so what we really found very quickly is, does the school need resources? Yes. Do they need supplies? Yes. But when we actually started asking what the need was, I thought I was going to have to convince you guys today. I don't now. It always came back to relationship. It always came back to relationship. And we needed to grow in that. And this is where Elevate Lives and Russ and the incomparable Marty Moore came in. I wish Marty was here. because they helped change our approach. Russ came in, and what he did is he came in with ideas and focus and connections, right? We're in this one school with 300 students, 50 staff members, and we got 120 people in our church, and we're not even close to having enough people and enough resources to do what needs to happen in the school. But Russ helped us to focus on what was important, focus on the needs of the school, ask the schools what they need, and figure out a way to partner with them. Don't do things for them anymore. Walk arm in arm and shoulder to shoulder with them. That changes everything. That's what we do in the neighborhood, and it started with the school. Arm in arm, shoulder to shoulder. Let's do this thing together. And that comes from us church people listening to what they're actually telling us, throwing out what we think needs to happen or what we want to do, or what even the gifts in our church are. Stop worrying about the giftings of your church people and what's easy, and start talking to the principals and the staff and listen to what they're actually saying. And so Russ helped with that. And then Marty Moore comes in, and she was that person that helped bridge that gap for us. Because when I would try to talk to Miss Webb, even things Miss Webb wanted done in this school, we couldn't hardly make it happen. You know why? Because Miss Webb didn't have time to organize it. And the counselor didn't have time to organize it. And the teachers didn't have time to organize it, even though they wanted it. And so Marty Moore comes in, and she's like, let me help you. I'll help organize, and I'll help talk to the right people, and I'll help gather resources, and I'll help connect in the way that you need to. And Marty Moore has been unbelievable. Working through the school system and trying to do it on our own has changed everything this year. It's grown our relationship tremendously. And guys, we've been committed to the school for 4 years. And the last year with Elevate Lives, Marty Moore and Springfield Public Schools' commitment to this, our relationship has grown in fantastic ways. Guys, I just want you to realize, like, God is doing unbelievable things right now. The fact that the school is that open to work with us and the city is that open, we're working with the park board and we're talking about doing things in the park that 5 years ago I think would have been impossible. Like the door would have been shut. Like everything is wide open. We begged God for this. Do more than we could possibly even ask for. He's doing more than what we could have asked for 4 years ago right now. Like you're in this meeting because God is doing incredible things. The doors that have been open to us, I can't believe it. It's so much different than when we started. 4 years ago. 4 years has changed everything. So guys, I want you to take this serious. And so what we've learned the hard way is that big drives and gathering resources and giving away free stuff are not what make the difference. Those things are good and they're needed. What has made the difference is when we have built relationships with the teachers, we've built relationships with the students, we've built relationship with the parents. We have seen everything move in light speed compared to what we were doing before. And so I've already said this, that the two really big lessons that we've learned that I hope that just learn from our mistakes. That's what I'm really talking about today. Learn from my mistakes. Not how awesome we are. We've got a long way to go. But learn from our mistakes. First and foremost, do not come up with your own ideas. Talk with the school first before you have any kind of agenda at all, and work arm in arm with the school. Work shoulder to shoulder with the school, not for the school. It changes everything. We started looking at everything we do. How can we build relationships through this thing? How can we mold it and shape our event to where our people, our church people who sometimes it's hard to make them step out and talk with people that aren't like them, right? We can be honest. Sometimes it's hard. How can we set this thing up where it will be natural and easy for our people to engage in relationships with parents, with teachers, with students? And if we do an event that doesn't lend people to building relationships, don't do it again. Like, we just have to be really honest with ourselves. Was it effective? No. Then we failed. Let's figure out a better way to do it. Right? And so mold it and shape it. If your people aren't naturally building relationships, it's not effective. It's not actually moving anything forward. We're just feeling a need again, and no one grows. No one's moving out of poverty. We're just filling needs. We can do both. We can fill needs while moving people forward, right? And that happens through relationships. So let me give you just a few practical examples. And you brought this up. It was great. Take the teachers a meal during Teacher Appreciation Week. So I did that in May, and it was Teacher Appreciation Week and map testing. I don't know how those two things are supposed to go together, but... And I'm telling you, though, bring in some chicken strips and sweet tea, and it's like a magical elixir. It was amazing. Like, take your teacher's Chick-fil-A, and everything gets way, way better, right? And so I brought in Chick-fil-A, but I went in with, like, we're not taking the teacher's lunch. I'm going in to invest in the teachers, because they need investment right now, right? And a lot of times during map testing, that's not a good time, but if you have Chick-fil-A, they're willing to sit down and relax for a little while, right? And so I got a chance to talk to them and just sit down with them. Like, the point was not the meal. I got every teacher drinks, and I made sure they could sit down, and I served them, but while talking to them. And you know, this won't blow your mind now, but I asked them, I was like, hey, we want to grow in our partnership grew tremendously this year. It was amazing. So even the teachers that were closed off to me before were now like asking me about our ministry and how we can partner with their churches, and it was amazing. This lunch was amazing. It was the best one we've ever had at the end of the year. But I sat down and I said, basically, what can we do better next year? What do you need? What's the real needs of this school? And I think before this meeting, it might have surprised you, but it wasn't the resources, which they need, and it wasn't the events, which are good, but they said, we desperately need reading buddies. That's it, we need reading buddies. And reading buddies is harder than an event. It takes more time, and people have to figure out how to move around work. But we had one lady that said I couldn't do it. I'm like, hey, what do you think your boss will say? She she doesn't have a good relationship with her boss. I'm like, what if you asked your boss if you could have one time a week, a little extra time for lunch? She's like, I don't think it's going to work, but I'll ask. And her boss was like, 30 minutes? You want 30 extra minutes? Isn't that on the other side of town? She's like, yeah. She's like, well, do you need 45? She got an extra 45 minutes for lunch because this matters. And this lady's not a believer, and they had a terrible relationship before that, and now they have a better relationship through this, right? Because she was just willing to ask. Can we encourage our people just to ask to give the time, right? But the teachers were like, they're basically begging us, invest in our kids. Williams didn't have a Reading Buddies program. We got one started. We've only got 4 or 5 people in it, but next fall, we've got 20 people lined up that are gonna fill in the Reading Buddy program, and we're just gonna take over the school. And you know what? We need you to join us, but we'll get to that, right? And so I want to give you just a few more examples of how this can play out. We didn't want to, Russ and I talked with Russ, we don't want this to be up here in the clouds. We want it to be very practical. How can you take some steps forward? So every school's different. Talk to the staff, talk to Marty Moore. She laid out some of the things that they need to do in their school. But some of the things that we have done is starting the Lunch Buddy program. You know, something that we do, the teachers are a big deal to us, right? The students are, but the teachers get forgotten. And we have one of our small groups, our life groups, adopt the staff, 50 staff in the school. And what they do is they write an encouraging note, let them know that we're praying for them, right? And bring a little gift. And so I say a little gift. What my life group did is we brought every teacher in the school a Sonic drink during happy hour. $50. Our life group paid for it. $50. But you know what happened? They were all super encouraged. I was amazed how encouraging Chick-fil-A and Sonic drinks are. It's amazing how encouraging that was. But also, Miss Webb let me go to every classroom to hand deliver it. Now, I want you to think about that. Not only did I get to go to the teacher, say, hey, we're praying for you, we love you, we're behind you, we just wanted you to know what we're thinking of you today. Some of the teachers didn't have people in their classroom, so I got to talk to them for a while. But also the kids got to see and love the teachers too, and they were jealous. And that's a healthy thing for the students to see how much we love the teachers, because then 3 weeks later we gave them all shoes. And I got to go to them like, you were complaining about that drink, and now you're getting shoes. Who do you think got the better end of the deal? And they're like hugging me like, oh, thank you, right? But it ended up being this like great thing. It wasn't just delivering drinks. It was investing in the teachers personally. And I got to encounter every staff member in the school. How valuable do you think that is for us as church people wanting to build relationships? I'll give you 2 more. The pair of shoes. Do you know the best part for me and our people were not delivering the shoes? I think my favorite part of it, the two favorite parts, was measuring the kids' feet. We got to go to every classroom. Miss Webb would actually go to each classroom. Sometimes they just bring them in here and do them all at once, but she wanted us to go to each classroom so we didn't interrupt the whole day as much. And we had 2 people I had 2 people measuring the kids' stinky feet and talk with them. But you know what I did? And me and another guy, we went around and just talked with the kids. So we got like 10 minutes in each classroom just to talk with the kids and ask them questions, and I was making them laugh and asking them what their favorite books were and who their favorite athlete was, and I was talking with the teacher. I got 10 minutes in every classroom in the school. And you know what? When we actually came and delivered the shoes, one of the classrooms, when they came by, the first kid in the line said, can I have a hug? I'm like, oh yeah, you can have a hug. Every kid in the class after that gave me a hug except for 2. They just walked by and everyone's, can I have a hug too? Yeah, get over here. And then we ended up having this big group hug because I was a different person in the school after that, right? We used to do nice things, and that didn't happen when we were doing nice things. But when we started focusing everything on relationship, how do we build relationships, everything started changing. To now the kids see me in the school and they run up and they jump on me, as opposed to, hey, that's the pastor guy. I used to be the pastor guy. Now I'm the guy that loves them, and it's tremendous. Let me give you one more example. We don't have time to keep going. I've got 9. I'm going to give you one more. Williams Elementary School last year didn't have a PTA. I say that. I want you to think about that. Schools on the south side throw carnivals for their PTA. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. They can do that. Praise God that they can do that for their schools. It didn't have a PTA. I didn't know about it until about 3/4 through the year. I'm like, Miss Webb, why didn't you come to us? We'll be your PTA. We'll find some parents that we know in the neighborhood and we'll connect. But what we got to do for the PTA is Miss Webb said, well, help us do it with the fundraiser for next year. So they did an auction. So she said, can you make a few gift baskets for us to auction off? I was like, yeah. Well, I got up front and I told our people, we're changing this. We're changing this, what was going on with this PTA. They came through. We're only a church of 100, 120 people. They got 21 gift baskets to sell. Like awesome ones, not like, cheap ones, like awesome gift baskets. Our people put hours. Now, I didn't make one of them, by the way, not one. Our people came through huge. But that wasn't the best part. The best part was we came and worked the PTA so the teachers didn't have to. The teachers got to, at the auction, when they're auctioning all this stuff, they got to sit with their families and with the parents and interact with the kids and have fun while we worked the concession stand. We did most of they had to do a little bit of the work, but we did most of the work, so they got to engage with everyone and just have a good time. And then when the concession stand closed down, we got to go sit with the teachers, we got to go sit with the parents, we got to go sit with the kids that were there and just talk and have a good time and laugh, and some amazing connections were made that day because it wasn't about the PTA fundraiser, was it? It was how can we build relationships with these teachers and with these kids and with these parents. And I'm telling you, we took enormous steps forward in our relationship this year. And I cannot wait for next school year to start. So guys, in the end, what we have done, maybe that sounds like a lot. I had like 6 more things to list. But we're a church of 120. We don't have it all figured out. But what we're doing is just a drop in the bucket. And so we need partners in the city. We need for people to put aside their own agendas and come together. And listen, I'm not talking about for Williams and Freshwater. We need partners too. But I mean, the schools on the north side of Springfield need us to stop having our own agendas and doing our own thing and come together as the Big C church. Putting aside those little differences that we have, because we can disagree on some things, but we can still love children together, right? And so we need your help. Weller needs your help. All these other schools, York needs your help for us to come together for one mission, for one church. I want you to have stories like Mary and Jerome. I didn't know they were going to be here today. Say hi to Mary and Jerome in the back. We're a church plant, so they're like one of like a couple 70-year-old couples in our church, right? And we love them. They love young people. Mary and Jerome have like 4 or 5 lunch buddies apiece because of the need. And they cannot talk about their lunch buddies without crying. And I don't think Mary's necessarily a crier. Like, they can't stop crying when they talk about how much their lunch buddies have meant to them and how much they've meant to their lunch buddies. So much so that some of the 5th graders are like, will you please follow us over to Reed in middle school? What middle schooler wants a 70-year-old to hang out with? The ones with the lunch buddies do. It means so much to them. I want you to have stories with Mary and Jerome where your people just can't stop crying thinking about the relationships they've built with his kids and how much difference it's made. I want you to have, when we hand out shoes, I want you to have the experience of watching. I don't know if you saw that picture. We invited the police to come join us to see the police officers on their hands and knees helping kids try on shoes, laughing with the kids, and the kids looking at the officers like they're heroes, like they should be looking at them like that. Right? I want you to have those kind of experiences. I want you to see the smiles on the teachers' faces when they just get to have fun at the PTA event because the church is taking care of everything. Not because we want credit, because it's the good and right and godly thing to do, to love our people well. But most of all, guys, I want God, and I know you do too, I want God to move through the city like a hurricane. And when we're doing things individually, man, we can do some good things and we can be effective, but together we are unstoppable. Guys, we are the plan for God's hurricane. So let's put aside our differences, work together, and partner with Elevate Lives, partner with Springfield Public Schools, and let's watch God just do amazing things because He's already doing amazing things. Join in the mission. Thanks for your time, guys.